Good afternoon, students. So, today we take up the poem I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by famous American poet Maya Angelou. Now, before we begin with the poem, let me give you a synopsis of what the poem is all about. And with that, we need to know a little bit about the poet as well. So, on your screen, you can see I have some information which I have gathered from the internet and I wanted to share with you. It will be a very good idea to read something first about the poet and the poem before we proceed with the text of the poem. So, let us see what we can understand about the poet first. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings is a free verse written by American poet and civil rights activist Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou is widely regarded as the black woman's poet laureate. Her reflections on the society and the times she lived in are vividly expressed in her poetry. Now, this poem, outwardly, as it is often interchangeably known, it's known as both I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings and also as the Caged Bird. Now, this poem can be seen as a reflection on social disparity. See, when we talk in terms of black Americans and white Americans, there have been a lot of disparities between these two races living in North America and elsewhere in the world. So, this poem talks about the caged bird or the blacks, and with that you may also count the women in particular and the free bird which flies in the sky, which is again symbolic of the white Americans. So this social disparity and the ideals of freedom and justice have been highlighted through this poem. Angelou, with the metaphor of birds, represents the inequality of justice seen in the society of her time, which differentiates between African American community, that is the black community, and its white American counterpart. Through her poem, she also illustrates the nature of both freedom and captivity by creating a stark contrast between the two, using birds as the metaphor. So whatever you have on your screen, you may take a screenshot and preserve it. This is the initial synopsis of the poem about which we are going to discuss further. So dear students, today we are going to read another English poem which you have in your syllabus, that is I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, written by famous African American poet Maya Angelou. Now you can see her photograph on the screen. This is Maya Angelou, and she had a versatile career and was a much acclaimed social activist also. So let's read first about her and then about her poem, and then finally go into the text of the poem and understand line by line what the poem is all about. So this is Maya Angelou on your screen. You can see one more photograph of Maya Angelou. This is graphically made with the names of her poems alongside. So you can see that in this photograph all the names of her different poems, different writings are mentioned alongside to complete the photograph. So this is very beautifully done. So I thought of sharing it with you. So coming to Maya Angelou's youth. In her youthful days, she was an actress, she was a dancer, and she later on went on to become a film director too. First black American female film director. So here you can see Maya Angelou in her youth. She's dancing. She was also a calypso singer and a famous dancer. So this is Maya Angelou once again on your screen, and this time in her matured age. You can see her inside her room Her study table is just behind her, and this is how she looked like when she was in the helm of her career. So this is Maya Angelou's another photograph of Maya Angelou. Now let's try to read a little bit about her. An acclaimed American poet, storyteller, activist, and autobiographer, Maya Angelou was born Marguerite Johnson in St. Louis, Missouri. Angelou had a broad career as a singer, as a dancer, actress, composer, and Hollywood's first female black director, but became most famous as a writer, editor, essayist, playwright, and poet. As a civil rights activist, Angelou worked for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. She was also an educator and served as the Reynolds Professor of American Studies at Wake Forest University. By 1975, wrote Carol E. Neubauer in Southern Women's Writers, The New Generation, Angelou was recognized as a spokesperson for all people who are committed to raising the moral standards of living in the United States. She served on 2 presidential committees for Gerald Ford in 1975 and for Jimmy Carter. These are the names of the past presidents of the United States. Jimmy Carter in 1977. In the year 2000, Angelou was awarded the National Medal of Arts by President Bill Clinton. In 2010, she was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor in the US, by President Barack Obama. So you can understand what a renowned personality she was and what a multi-talented personality she was. Extraordinary. I mean, she had tried almost every field and had excelled in each and every field. What is not mentioned here is that she was also the chief editor and director of Radio Ghana once upon a time. Now, Angelou was awarded over 50 honorary degrees before her death. 50 degrees of honor. Can you imagine? People don't get one, and she was awarded 50 honorary degrees. So you are going to read a very revolutionary writer, Maya Angelou, and here is a short sketch of all her achievements taken from Wikipedia. So on your screen right now, Maya Angelou was an American poet, singer, memoirist, and civil rights activist. She published 7 autobiographies, 3 books of essays, several books of poetry, and is credited with a list of plays, movies, and television shows spanning over 50 years. Wikipedia. She was born on 4th April 1928, you already know where, and died on 28th of May 2014. So just 6 years ago. So movies and TV shows, you have the list of names of the movies and TV shows, and of these I would suggest, if you ever get a chance, please see Roots. Exceptional. It's an exceptional television series available in YouTube. If you ever get a chance, it's all about the black Americans who search for their roots when they are brought in shiploads from Africa and sold in the slave markets of Europe and America. How they suffer and in what way they look for their roots after generations pass. So it's a very painful, sad but realistic story of the blacks. If you ever get a chance, please see it. Awards: Langston Hughes Medal, NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Literary Work, Non-Fiction, etc., etc. Lot many. The list is endless. So this is Maya Angelou, and Angelou's most famous work, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, was published in 1969. It deals with her early years in Long Beach, St. Louis, and Stamps, Arkansas. So her early years of life you can say, when she was in her childhood, rather. She was around 7 or 8 years old when she lived in Long Beach, St. Louis. And this is a reflection of her life there. So there is more in Wikipedia. If you want, you can visit Wikipedia Maya Angelou page and you can read. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings is the first of Angelou's 6 autobiographies. So this poem is not a simple poem. It's actually about her life, which you are going to read now. It is widely taught in schools, and so it is being taught here too, and that's why you are reading it. Though it has faced controversy over its portrayal of race and so many other reasons. So controversies will always be there, but then it is a great poem. So now this poem, as I told you in the beginning, that it is also known as Caged Bird. So it is known as I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, or simply The Caged Bird. The poem is in front of you. Let us now go through the text of the poem and try to understand what the poem is all about. So on your screen is the text of the poem. First we will read the entire poem, and then I will try to explain stanza wise or line by line. So here we go. Caged Bird, or I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, by Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. Notice that in these first two stanzas, while the first line begins with capital, the successive lines do not begin with capital letter or letters. This shows that the lines are of varying length. This is a piece of modern poetry, and so it's not strictly according to the norms of poetry which we are normally accustomed to see. So this is modern poetry. The first stanza talks about the free bird. The second stanza now talks about the bird inside a cage. Now let's come to the third stanza. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade wind soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. So you see, the last stanza and you have here the third stanza are exactly the same. So this particular stanza, which is repeated at the end of the poem, works like a refrain in the poem, repeating the same idea again for the reader. This is not just a poem. You can even sing it like a song. It's more of a song of a heart which has suffered social injustice, disparity, racism, and so many other types of differences. So let us try to understand now stanza by stanza. The poem has only 6 stanzas, so it's not very difficult to understand. The language is very simple, but the symbolic significance, the metaphorical aspects of the poem are really remarkable. So, in the first stanza, a free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. So, in the opening lines, we see a bird leaping on the back of the wind. It demonstrates the freedom it experiences when it moves about or glides freely through the air. It hovers over a stream of wind, you can say, and floats downwards to where the current of the stream ends. And the wind is calm. And then, in the last two lines, it dips its wing in the sea of orange sunlight. So the description is very clear of how a free bird flies in the sky. It seems to take a ride on the back of the wind. It leaps upon the back of the wind, and then it demonstrates or shows its freedom, its free spirit, by gliding through the air, dipping its wing, using the air currents in the sky, and then enjoying the rays of the orange sunlight on its wings. And it seems to be claiming the sky. So what does it show? It shows that the bird is in a state of absolute freedom and is very happy and peaceful, in a state of tranquility, you could say. It has the freedom to move about wherever it desires. It is so free, so without restraints, that it can dare to claim the sky, as if the whole sky belongs to it. It is its home. The sky is entirely its own. It can fly in whatever direction it wants. It can enjoy the freedom in whatever way it wants. So the sky is like the entire sky. Such a huge, big, vast sky is actually the home of the free bird. So coming to the second stanza. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage. Now, striking a contrast, Maya Angelou talks about a bird inside a cage. Two birds, one is flying in the sky, the other one is locked inside a cage. And the poor bird inside the cage, how does it feel? The cage is so small, narrow cage means very small, can seldom see through his bars of rage. So, the caged bird, it tries to go out of its cage but cannot do it. The cage is narrow, and the bars of the cage are very metaphorical. The bars are of rage. The bars are of rage, meaning to say that the caged bird actually feels angry. It is frustrated inside the cage. It's angry with its present condition, situation. It desires with all its heart to escape from the cage. But unfortunately, it cannot. The cage is locked and barred and it cannot come out. And not only that, this caged bird can hardly see anything beyond its cage. The cage is kept in such a place that only a little bit can be seen outside. It cannot see the vast expanse of the sky like the free bird. And then what is the condition of the caged bird? Its wings are clipped, which means its freedom has been taken away, so that even if it manages to come out of the cage, it cannot fly. Wings are associated with flight, which in turn is associated with freedom. So if the wings are clipped, means it cannot fly, which means in turn that it does not have any freedom. His feet are tied. So we are talking about not only the wings but also its feet. So this is the condition of the poor bird inside the cage. Its freedom has been forcibly taken away. It cannot fly even if it desires to. Its feet are tied. So the only option left for the caged bird is to sing. So he opens his throat to sing. The poor bird has no other option but to sing, because that is the only thing which is not restricted or restrained. Otherwise, this poor bird is restrained in every possible way, in every possible manner. So the only option it has is to sing. So it opens its throat to sing. So this bird tied to the ground, or kept imprisoned inside a cage, represents an image completely opposite to its true nature of flight. A bird is meant for flight, meant for claiming the sky, meant for freedom. The sky is the limit for a bird. But if it is kept inside a cage, then it is something opposing its nature. Its true nature is to fly, but it cannot fly. It represents the fact of the alienation of the bird. That means it is alienated, it is separated, it is isolated, it's removed from the rest of the birds in the sky that fly freely. Poor bird, it has no choice but to remain in that condition. Why? Because human beings are responsible for it. But the most important thing is that despite being in this utterly despondent or difficult condition, the problem that it's facing, the caged bird opens his throat to sing. That seems to be his only joy and achievement in life. So then when the caged bird starts singing, how does it sing? The caged bird, we come to the next stanza. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill. I told you the third stanza is again repeated at the end of the poem. It is the refrain of the poem. The caged bird, when it starts singing, it sings with a fearful trill, which means it has a wavering voice. And what does it sing of? It sings of freedom, as mentioned in the last line. Of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. So he is singing of freedom, something he does not have. The idea of freedom is his dream, a dream which he cannot achieve. So he sings about it. There is fear in his voice. He had never known what freedom tastes like. But then it has hope that someday it will have its freedom and will then be able to fly like the other birds too. And how loudly does it sing? Well, the caged bird's voice can be heard from distant places, on hills where it inspires others to dream of freedom. The caged bird doesn't sing of sadness, but of hope, inspiration, and of freedom. So, who is the caged bird? As I told you in the introduction, the caged bird here is symbolic of the oppressed, downtrodden, discriminated against, humiliated, punished, troubled black Afro-American people. They are pressed down, they are humiliated, tortured, subdued, oppressed by the whites. There is no social justice for them. Yet they don't give up hope. So this poem, written by a black American poet, is a kind of inspiration for those blacks who suffer in the hands of the whites. That don't give up. Keep hoping for better days. Don't be pessimistic, be optimistic. Be like the caged bird. Even though it is caged, it has not lost its hope. It hopes to achieve freedom someday or the other. So, the song of the caged bird is like an inspiration for other birds. So, it's metaphorical. This caged bird is nothing but a metaphor for the blacks. Now, let's see what the free bird is doing. The next stanza. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade wind soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. Free bird is flying, naming the sky his own, as mentioned in the first stanza, same thing again. But there is something more to it. The free bird thinks of another breeze. The free bird, on the other hand, enjoys its freedom. He enjoys flying through the trade wind. The trade winds that blow through the trees. It enjoys yet another breeze that seems to blow gently, the soft trade winds through the sighing trees. The sighing trees probably refers to the sighing sound made by the breeze while passing through the leafy branches. It gives an indication to their lack of freedom, as the trees are also tied to the ground like the caged bird. And then the free bird is waiting and thinking about the fat worms that it eats, waiting on a dawn bright lawn. The free bird thinks of the fat worms that will be his food. And with the wind, what happens? With the wind in his feathers, water and earth beneath him, and the whole sky with him, he feels majestic. He feels simply thrilled in his freedom, and so he calls the entire sky his own. So the free bird here is synonymous to the white Americans who enjoy all the freedom, all facilities, no social injustice. Everything is in favor of them, including the law of the land. The white Americans, they are a privileged lot. The blacks do not enjoy that kind of freedom. The blacks are doubted. The blacks are always thought of as thieves, rogues, scoundrels. And the law is always after them, even without any reason. Racism is the biggest problem with America. So, the free bird is the white American race. Let's come to the caged bird again and see what the poor caged bird is doing. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. Once again, these two lines of this stanza are repetitions of the lines mentioned earlier. So the caged bird sings. The caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. That means all its dreams are in the grave. Grave of dreams. Dreams which will never be coming alive for the caged bird. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. So it's like a nightmare for the caged bird. The caged bird knows that he is not flying in the sky, that he is not free, but a captive. He is a prisoner. He thus stands on the grave of dreams. He knows that his dreams of flying in a free sky to experience freedom is not possible, will never be realized. He has lost all hope of freedom. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. That means his shadow is like, it is more adverse than a nightmare. It's more adverse than a nightmare. It is more pitiable, more adverse. His wings are clipped, cut off, shortened, and his feet are tied. There is only a little hope of freedom. So the bird has no other choice but to open its throat to sing. It feels hopeless, but still sings a song of hope. It does not give up. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown, but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. So the bird opens his throat to sing. The bird wishes to surpass all these adversities. There is a very faint ray of hope, towards freedom. It still has not given up its hope. So there is a tone of hope in its song. So this last stanza is the refrain. This refrain recurs as a stanza, justifies the bird's strong determination to keep going after his dream of freedom. Moreover, the caged bird chooses to sing as this is the only freedom available to him that he can enjoy without any restriction. His wings are clipped, feet are tied, but his throat is not choked yet. The black Americans are oppressed in different ways, but they can still give their opinions, raise their voice, and talk about hope and freedom. This is something the poet feels at heart, and that is why she uses the title, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. That's why the poem is something which has two titles. Caged Bird, on the other hand, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Because the poet knows why this bird is singing. She knows the mentality of all black Americans like her, because she is herself a black. She knows that though there is no hope, still there is the possibility of freedom in future. One must therefore open one's voice. You could be suppressed, oppressed, and therefore depressed, but you should never lose your optimism. So this is an energizing poem, especially for the black American people, written by famous black American poet Maya Angelou. I hope I have been able to make you understand the lines of the poem and also the symbolic significance of the poem, the metaphorical aspects of the poem. Now please go through the workbook portions, read everything that is given in the workbook, all the notes and explanations with regard to the theme, the style, and even Maya Angelou's career, her background, the title of the poem, the style used, the critical remarks that are given in your workbook. Please go through everything, and I'm sure you will be able to understand the poem in general. And once you have finished, please do all the question answers. Don't leave a single extract. Everything has to be completed. All extracts, all the questions have to be completed in your English literature homework copies. That's all for the day.